Hey everyone, have you ever considered some of the best practices that are supporting our students? I'm here today to share a little bit more about my experience in supporting autistic students. Now, before I get into it, I want to give a disclaimer. I am not autistic. I am not neurodiverse. You need to be listening to the people in that community that they belong to for what best supports them. And each individual person should be able to have a say in that. So I know I'm going to share my perspective as I support autistic students in my current role, but I do want to let you know that I do use, oh gosh, my brain just like lost it. Identity first language. So being able to say autistic person instead of person with autism. So I just do want to preface that is what I say. However, you do need to support the community in saying what they prefer for each individual person that you work with. So, with that being said, I'm going to share some of my tips and strategies for working with autistic people. In a school setting and what I've seen being best practice based on research, based on what I do with the students. But before we get into it, we do need to acknowledge that there is a neurodiversity movement that is happening where there's this umbrella of brain chemistries that everybody's brain works different. And so some of it may be ADHD, epilepsy, ADD, autism. All of these different types of disability categories are in an umbrella. And so we do really want to embrace everybody's unique disability and embrace the differences that they can bring to society. Yes, we are categorizing them as a disability, but these neurodiverse umbrellas and this neurodiversity movement can really make a huge impact of just embracing everybody's uniqueness. As we support our students and what they can provide for us as well. So I did want to acknowledge that again. This is me doing research and coming from a different perspective. Again, listen to the community that is here. So some of the strategies that I have used in the past that have been really helpful was making sure that you do have individualized supports. Making sure that that student is heard, that family is heard, if it's a fidget or if it's schedule, different types of schedules, really just make sure that you are looking at that student as an individual and it's not a blanket. This is what we provide for everybody in our building. We really want to individualize it as much as possible so that they can be successful. Consider anything sensory needs. I know a lot of us teachers really do a good job of that, but make sure that you are considering, is it too loud in here? Is there too much light? Can we dim the lights a little bit or turn off some of the lights? Is this activity too tactile for them? Is another student's behavior really impacting other student? So those types of things really you need to take into consideration, especially when you are setting up your classroom as well. If it is too overwhelming and there's too much going on, it could really be a sensory overload for that child. You may not think so, but really just stay curious and try to find those things. I did talk a little bit about visual supports like schedules. Timers are another really great visual support that can support the students in transitioning and finishing a task that maybe they don't want to get off of. So make sure that you are using schedules, visuals, guides, pictures, those types of things, task analysis to really help our students get through their days and support them in that way. I always think about this as like my calendar. I rely heavily on my Google Calendar at work. And so if I do not have that, I wouldn't know where to go. I wouldn't know what to do. Yeah, the bells also ring, but again, if those didn't ring, I probably wouldn't know when to transition. So just try to think of those things as well as we think of our students. Clear communication is something that I feel like is something we do not enough. We are very verbal people, and communicating with people all day long, as I'm even talking here, I'm using a lot of words, I'm using a lot of language. Being clear and concise with your language is sometimes very helpful to kind of get through the muck of the things that you are saying. So you might have said, it's time for reading. We're going to get our book and our paper and a pen. You need glue and scissors as well, right? There's lots of different directions that you might have just given. Break it down, use visuals. I used to have different like cutouts of school supplies like scissors, glue, notebook, pen, pencil, markers, that kind of thing. And I would just hold them up or put them on the board as a magnet and say, like, you need these things. And then they would go down the list and check off which ones they needed. So that's really helpful as well. So just being explicit about your directions, trying to limit those verbals as much as you can as we go into that clear communication. If you can use nonverbal language or just pictures to support our students, that can really help with the mental overload that they could be going through. Again, could be going through. Providing positive reinforcement. A lot of our students, especially on the younger grades, may not understand what school is here for. So there's a lot of school skills that you might still be working on, making sure there's some type of positive reinforcement, whether it's verbal, whether it's physical, something that you are giving them so that they know that they are doing the correct things. I'm not saying food, I'm not saying a sticker, I'm not saying you have to figure out what is best for that student. So figuring out how to best support them in those things so that they can gain the confidence and the motivation to continue to create and complete more tasks, especially if it is following a teacher's direction. So, social skills. Of course, social skills is a big part of neurodiversity and understanding social cues and people interactions. So finding those target opportunities to be able to teach turn-taking skills or sharing, initiating and maintaining a conversation, whatever your students may be working on, find those opportunities that we can model that. And then pointing out like, hey, I noticed that conversation ended abruptly or quickly. This is something that we can do to continue this conversation. Or you can say, hey, I need to be somewhere else. I'm gonna go. And just try to role play and model those interactions as well so that students do have specific times that they can continue to grow and work on those skills. But the biggest part of this that I really do want to label is that we should be promoting self-advocacy. Body autonomy is a big part of neurodiversity and autism. So if I'm saying my body is uncomfortable or if I'm feeling overwhelmed, you need to honor that. So as a neurodiverse person, you might say, no, I don't want to do this right now. And so sometimes it's really hard for us as teachers to honor students' no. When we've asked them to complete something, they've said no, and then it becomes a power struggle. So something that you can do is providing choice. Yes, I want to honor that you've said no, you don't want to do this. Okay, great. Everybody else is working on this right now. So I'm going to say you need a couple more minutes. Do you want 2 or 4 minutes or 2 or 3 minutes? And then I'll come back and check on you and see if you're ready then. Maybe there's something going on internally that they're not just quite ready for. Maybe it's overwhelming. So you can provide a choice of, oh, okay, tell me more about why you're saying no. You could say, do you want to do the even problems or the odd problems, the top of the page or the bottom of the page? And just trying to continue to poke and prod a little bit. Again, honoring their no. Hey, are you overwhelmed? Are you stressed? Are you feeling anxious? Try to figure out what that actually means so that we can honor no, but also still understand we have some school expectations that need to be met. But meeting the kids really where they're at is really something you can do. So again, I'm just going to kind of quickly run through those. If you've made it all the way to the end, we're providing individualized support, considering any sensory needs that may be going on, using visual schedules and visual supports, clear communication, trying to be as concise as possible, any positive reinforcement, social skills interactions, and modeling, and then promoting that self-advocacy and that body autonomy. So hopefully that was super helpful to kind of hear from a different perspective. Again, I am not part of the neurodiverse community, so you really need to listen to that community and what they best need. I know this is coming out a little bit more and changing and revolutionizing. I think that's a word. And so I'm really learning as well with the community and trying to do my best to listen to the community and what they best need. So hopefully you continue to do that too.